For months now, I've stated quite clearly, unequivocally, that it appears that the African National Congress, and we must say the African National Congress, because while it is a so-called government of national unity, all of the levers of genuine power in South Africa's government remain firmly in the hands of the African National Congress, which, despite receiving only a plurality of the vote in the popular vote in 2024, acts as if it is the ruling party of South Africa with impunity, taking decisions without consulting its partners, acting with complete impunity. Lutuli House continues to act as if they rule South Africa. And it's causing all sorts of problems in South Africa. The latest is the revelation that came out today from the Democratic Alliance that the reason that the special envoy to the United States, Mcebisi Jonas, is not in America is because, well, he was rejected. I never made that claim, had no idea what's going on. Apparently, according to the Democratic Alliance, Mcebisi Jonas sent his visa application for a diplomatic visa to the United States, which was rejected in May, and his credentials as the envoy were rejected by Washington as well. For months, I've openly asked the question on my program, is the African National Congress intentionally sabotaging diplomatic relations with the United States? Well, their actions over the past 25 years have clearly been insulting and detrimental to the national interests of the United States, its friends, partners, and allies. And I've given many, many instances of this, including training Chinese pilots to kill NATO pilots and American pilots. Also, the Lady R incident, the 75% poultry tariffs against the United States, refusing to sign Article 98 waiver. The list of aggressions and egregious actions by the ruling party in South Africa against U.S. interest is long, quite lengthy, and it goes on for the past 2.5 decades. It finally culminated in February 2024 with a bipartisan group of members of the House of Representatives introducing legislation to sanction South Africa after reevaluating this relationship. Well, that bill died. It went nowhere. Trump came in office, and suddenly it's all Trump's fault. This problem long predates President Trump and is not a consequence of the actions of the United States, but rather the consequence of the actions of South Africa, the same country that screamed vociferously, intervene, intervene, intervene in Libya, screaming for NATO intervention. And when NATO under Obama did intervene, then the South Africans changed tack because they suddenly realized, oh my goodness, they're actually going to do something. We can't just scream about it. And then they attacked NATO in the West for intervening in Libya. Remember that situation? I think most people have forgotten about it. I haven't. So what's going on now? After months and months of being misled and lied to apparently by the South African government. It's not really the government, it's the ANC, because who controls all the levers of real power in South Africa? Well, it's the ANC. The ANC, despite being only a plurality party with just 40% of the popular vote in 2024, continues to act with impunity because they control the judiciary, the police, the intelligence, finance, foreign affairs, judiciary, everything that matters of any real power in the country, they control. And Lutuli House continues to act as if they run the country. And quite frankly, their government and national unity partners allow them to run the country. They act impotently. Some of them act as if they're just happy to have scraps at the table and swear their public fealty to Cyril Ramaphosa, which I suggest is a huge mistake. Cyril Ramaphosa is rapidly arriving at the end of his tether and may find himself deposed by his own party here very soon because he's becoming a major liability to the ANC, whose support is collapsing by the hour, it appears. They're becoming even less popular than EFF, which is quite an accomplishment. So what are we talking about here? For months, I've questioned why Mcebisi Jonas is not in Washington, D.C. I also said that he made these idiotic comments about America and about Trump, but he did so as a private citizen, and he did that in the past. So it might not be an issue. Well, it turns out, in fact, that may very well have been an issue. The Democratic Alliance revealed today that Mcebisi Jonas, the special envoy appointed months ago after the racist ambassador Ibrahim Rasool was removed for his racist comments, calling Trump the leader of global white supremacy without any evidence, and Americans racist. He was sent home persona non grata. Ibrahim Rasool, Ramaphosa, to much fanfare, announced Mcebisi Jonas, an actor with no political ambitions, apparently, who is not a threat to Ramaphosa and has experience at many high levels. Mcebisi Jonas, unfortunately, also said some stupid things, and we wondered what was going on. Well, now we find out that the gaslighting government of South Africa has been lying to the public, according to the Democratic Alliance, since May. Apparently in May, Mcebisi Jonas sent his visa application for a diplomatic visa to go to America, and it was rejected. Not only was it rejected, but his credentials were also rejected. That is a very unusual move in diplomacy. Well, since May, the government of South Africa has reassured folks that there is an envoy for America, but he's been to London, but never to the United States. And then they tried to call him the envoy for North America, as if he's going to Canada. The point here is they've been gaslighting people, and they've been doing it for months. This is a government that doesn't deserve your respect, your vote, or your time, the way they're behaving. Absolutely. And the government and national unity partners are complicit in this. They're complicit. The Democratic Alliance may have revealed this today, but they have enabled this sort of swindle to be happening in South African politics. The Ramaphosa administration was explicitly advised on multiple occasions that Jonas was not acceptable to Washington and was urged to appoint an alternate envoy. The Democratic Alliance says that message coming from Washington. Despite these clear and repeated communications, the presidency continued to mislead the public by insisting that Jonas remain the president's special envoy to North America, responsible for leading the charge and repairing bilateral relations between our two countries. And I have been saying since his appointment, where is he at? April, May, June, July. It's almost August, and the man has never been in the States. Well, now we know why. Jonas was noticeably absent when Ramaphosa went to the States, and that was a big question mark. Why isn't he there? Obviously, he either isn't trusted by the presidency or he's not acceptable to Washington. And now we're finding out the obvious, the blatantly obvious, they must not have been acceptable to Washington. The Democratic Alliance said that it sought to submit a promotion of access to information, a POPI Act request, detailing Jonas's official engagements over the past 90 days. But they were met with accusations of encroaching on the president's powers. That's what his office said. And this is a comment from their spokesman, Vincent Magwenya. The DA is encroaching on the president's area of responsibility. They have no business in the appointment of work of envoys, including that of Mr. Jonas. Well, yes, they do when you lie to the public. He said envoys are there to support the work of the president. Well, what work is Jonas supporting? He's not there. So this is yet another cover-up. This comes on the heels of it looks like it's increasingly like a cover-up in the impunity case. And now we see Shadrach Sabia is also being put on leave. This is a very serious situation. How Ramaphosa survives this is beyond me. Unemployment, 40%, roughly. GDP growth at 0.8%, 26,000 murders per year. Pariah status increasing around the world. The alternative media, the social media is now coming from everywhere, from Europe, even from Asia, about the behavior of the ANC and what's happening in South Africa. It's not just some right-wing podcasters in America who are pointing this out. This is becoming a daily story in major news outlets around the world about the behavior of the ANC and what's happening in South Africa. And the Nkabisi Jonas situation is just more evidence that this is a government that consistently lies to the public and has no respect for its own citizens. So here's the argument. Magwenya said that the reason that Ramaphosa was late on Sunday, 38 minutes, holding South Africans waiting for 38 minutes, isn't because he fancies himself the big chief showing up when he wants, which is also common in that region. It isn't that. It's because he was consulting with his GNU partners about what to do about Mkhunu. Now, that's about as believable as pigs flying. Consulting his GNU partners, the same people he never talked to for Bella, EWC, NHI, the transformation black tax, the man who acts with impunity as if he runs the country solely, which he does. And the GNU members are complicit. Instead of holding to account, they simply moan or sit on the sidelines while Ramaphosa and the ANC continue to destroy South Africa. It's a sad situation. Once again, folks, Nkabisi Jonas apparently never going to go to America. His diplomatic visa denied, his credentials rejected, and the ANC covered it up yet again. Vote of no confidence, or will Cyril's own party jettison the dead weight? Too much of a distraction, too much of a lead anchor around the ANC as it's dragged further down into the depths. What say you, South Africa? What say you, world? Cheers.